All right, so we're going to make a really simple animated still image, but it's animated, so it's moving, called a parallax. We've seen this before. If it's like basically they add a little bit of motion to a still image. So we're actually going to separate the sky and the building so we can make it look like the sky is moving. We'll do a slow zoom out of the building to just give a little bit of movement as that as well. So the first thing is we're going to bring in our second photo that is just of the sky. So I'm going to go grab that. I have it in my downloads, but wherever you have yours saved, that's where you'd want to be pulling yours from. And remember, whenever we want it to be a second layer, what you can do is click and drag it to this one right here, and that plus sign shows up. And when you drop it, it'll show up as a second layer right there. Now, I already know just to give itself a little bit of room for that motion, I want to extend the size just a little bit. So I've got a little bit of room to make it a little bit larger, and I'm going to click check mark. Okay. The other thing is I want this to be my background because I want it to be behind the building. So I'm going to unlock my layer there of the school building and bring it up here. And I'm going to go ahead and change the name of these layers just so it's easy to keep up with. So I'm going to double click on that, title it building, double click this one, title it sky, just to keep track of that. Okay, so what I need to do now so that I can see the sky behind it is I'm going to delete the sky, this top photo. So I'm going to make sure I have this one highlighted. Going to use the quick select tool. Okay, so you can see right here, it's going to show us in that little preview. You click and drag, and it does a pretty good job of finding those edges. So if you've got real defined edges like we do on this school building, it should do a pretty good job. So I'm going to click and drag across this sky, and eventually it'll recognize those edges pretty well. Once we have that done, we have the top layer selected, then I'm just going to hit the delete key and deletes that, and it shows through to my photo below that has the sky there. All right, so I'm going to get rid of the selection. You can go to select, deselect, or you can see right here, keyboard quick keyboard stroke is Command D to get rid of that selection. It goes away, and we can see here if I click on the sky and use the move tool, I can click and drag around, see that sky moves. Now we need to add that animation. So to do that in Photoshop, we can actually create little short videos. If we go to Window, and then we make sure that we can see the timeline. This is how we can control that down here. So what we're going to do is because we've already got a couple layers, we're going to say create video timeline. If we click on that, it's just going to take whatever is in our layers over here and do this. So the first thing we're going to do is do a slow zoom out of the building. So if I click down here, we've got position, opacity, and style, where we can control what's going on here. But we actually want this to say transform instead of position. So to create that, we need to make this a smart object. So I'm going to right click on my building layer, and I'm going to say convert to smart object. And when I do that, you can see it now says transform instead of position. It's going to allow us to change the size as well. Okay, so first thing I want to do is make it a little bit bigger so we can see right here, nothing's happening, but this is the beginning of our timeline, okay? So treat it like it's a video, but I want to have it zoomed in a little bit, so we've got to zoom out going. So I'm going to use Edit, Free Transform, which the keyboard quick stroke is Command T, right? And I can change the size here, so I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Like that. Not huge, just a slow zoom out so that we can see happening. So just a little bit larger. Okay. And to make a keyframe, I'm saying this is where I want the image to start. Okay. I'm going to make some changes, and this is how I want it to be at the beginning of the video, like this. Then I'm going to come right here that looks like a little stopwatch, and this creates a little dot, and that's called a keyframe, saying this is where it's going to start. Now, all the way at the end, I want it to be a slow transition from it being cropped in closer, zoomed into this one, to being different here at the end. So I made sure and move my timeline all the way to the end, and then I'm going to zoom out. Okay, to do that, I'm going to go again to Free Transform and zoom in like this. Now this change is not made official until I hit this check mark right here, and when I do, it'll create another little marker right there.